Good morning, Harvey. Good morning, everybody out there.
What's up, guys? How you doing today? Up. Welcome. Hey, guys. What's up? How you doing today? I'm up north. Yep, but I had myself on mute because there was a bunch of ducks and squawking going on behind me.
Good morning, Harvey. How you doing, bud? Yeah. Yeah, there's still buyers out there for sure. No doubt about it. It's a great market. I mean, buyers are getting a little tired of, I think, the price ranges or the prices that properties are selling at, but there's still people out there. There's multiple offers. It's a great market.
Yeah, lots of realtors out there making offers for their clients are doing a great job. Buyers got to be prepared, Harvey. We talk about it all the time. You're not going to get your offer accepted unless you're prepared, unless you have a bona fide pre-approval. You got to go over financials, pay statements, tax returns. You got to get that pre-approval. And Noel can go out and make an intelligent offer, which is going to get accepted, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah, I always tell the clients that, I got a CYA, cover my butt a little bit when if a listing agent is going to call me. So I want to have your documents so I can be honest about how I'm going to relay how far along we are in the process. And I like to make sure that we've got all the docs from the client, run it through either the Fannie Mae's underwriting engine or Freddie Mac's underwriting engine so that we have an approval one way, both ways, so that we know what route we need to go. So I'd like to be honest because I think that is the most important thing, the honesty between all parties so that we get this thing done quickly, easily, efficiently, and everybody's happy at the closing.
Yeah, it's really balanced out a little bit. I mean, I think the market is still very, very hot. I think that there are pockets that there are great properties that are selling and they're selling fast. There are still a lot of multiple offer situations out there, but not quite as many as in the past. But I tell you what, I've heard some incredible things talking to some associates just a couple days ago. One I heard about a property selling for $250,000 in Beverly Hills over the list price. Unreal.
What?
That's few and far between. You don't get something like that so much. What I've noticed you guys too a lot of is there's a lot of properties that have been coming on the market, and it seems like they see that their neighbor sold for X, so they think their property is worth X, and it's really worth Y. And I'm noticing that more and more. I'm going through and thinking, gosh, I can't believe what this is. They're asking for this. And I think you're starting to see that more and more, but you're also starting to see some buyers, back down a little bit and not want to pay the exorbitant prices and be in a, multiple offer situation because more than likely they've been in it once, twice, three, four times. So you got to be, careful, and depending upon what your urgency is to purchase. I think parlaying off of what John said earlier, I think it's really, really important to communicate with your mortgage broker, especially as a listing agent. I do that, make phone calls. It puts me at ease, especially when I know the other mortgage representative that's representing the buyer. And it helps the seller make a decision, if you're dealing with, an educated lender like, Capital Mortgage Funding, and I do a lot of business with John, it puts everybody at ease, knowing that the buyer has their ducks in a row and the seller can make an educated decision. Yeah, it is. It's not just a different house, it's a different buyer. So different, buyers have different motivations, different financial situations, different, in general, just, life situations that determine what they are going to do and what they're not going to do. So, maybe they need to get into a home. Maybe they're a buyer that, is in a situation where they're flexible, where they're not under a time crunch. That's what the greatest thing about real estate is. Every situation is different. Every person's financial situation, motivation to move, motivation to buy is all different. Right now, I mean, again, our office last year, Max Broock in Birmingham, I think we did just under $1 billion in business. And we're on a record to break that this year. So there are certainly properties moving. I mean, in property values, gosh, it's amazing in southeastern Michigan what the property values have gone up, to in the last just 18 months or so. It's amazing. But we continue, we're looking that's going to continue. That trend's going to continue to go up. But we're just hoping that we get some more, properties on the market, more sellers. It'll even out the market a bit. Water always finds its level. So we'll see.
Well, when we give somebody a pre-approval letter, Harvey, it's really like a blank check. We're telling them they're approved for $200, $300, $400,000, whatever that says, but they've got to go in with the best offer. So the best advice is to, tidy up that offer, make it really tight. So when you approach the seller with a pre-approval letter, you're putting your best foot forward, but you're also leaving room for negotiation. You don't want to show a seller, everybody out there, you don't want to show a seller that you're qualified for $500,000 if the list price on the house is $350,000. So you still have to be smart about it. And also what you're talking about, buyers are getting more savvy. They're getting more patient. They're not putting up with a lot of stuff. And we had a situation yesterday where a buyer called me up and said, hey, listen, you got to help me out. My previous lender will not go ahead and escrow for a lot of repairs that need to be done on the house. Will you guys do it? Well, since we underwrite in-house, we do everything at our place. There are provisions that we can make where we're going to escrow X amount of dollars for repairs, allow the person to go ahead and close and then do the repair work after. A lot of lenders don't do that. We do. Here's the PS of that story, everybody. The PS of the story is the buyer said, you know what? Too many repairs. I don't want to do it anyway. So they backed out of the deal. So there are a lot of things, and the house has been on the market for a while. There's always a reason why a house is on the market, and there are many stories with every single house out there.
No, I think things are coming down. I was going to parlay a little bit about what Harvey had said in regard to, you know, there are a lot of there's a lot of competition, and what I have been seeing, and I've experienced it, and a lot of people have in the business, and buyers. There's some buyer's remorse out there, where I think people realize that they're buying property at like an exorbitant number, and there's been some transactions, unfortunately, that have not come together because of that. And I think it's pretty common. It's human nature where you're making a split decision very, very quickly, and usually you have listing agent give what's called a highest and best, which is usually by a particular date and time that all offers are due. And a lot of buyers feel under the gun, so they hear about everything selling over list price, so they're randomly picking numbers, really not even looking at comps sometimes, because comps become irrelevant when you go so far over a list price. And then they have time to think about it. And some people have backed out of purchase agreements because of that. So that's you're going to have that in any market, I guess, but I'm noticing a little bit more and more that's happening. But in general, the market is very, very good. We still need more listings. You're right. With the the variant coming out, it's brought a lot of apprehension and whatnot for people in general. Showings really haven't changed that much, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of competition. If it's a good house, there's definitely going to be a lot of competition for it.
No, you're right. And Noel hit the nail on the head that, yes, it's coming back around a little bit, but there's people out there. I talk to people every single day up here about just what they're looking for, whether it's their primary residence or a second home. I got somebody looking for a place where enough room where he can build a big garage so he can pull his camper in there. Because campers you can't buy a camper right now. You can't rent a camper right now. They're the hot commodity with everything going on. So there's all these needs and wants, and the market may be coming back a little bit, but what's out there and what you want is greater than ever. I need a bigger lot. I need a bigger garage. I need a basement so that I can throw my kids down there while I'm trying to work. I need a separate office. The more detail needed in each and every property is more. And that's why we don't have as much listed, because people don't want to list their homes until they found their new home that's perfect for them. And that's where we got to get professionals like Noel and all our other guests that we have on the radio out there to let them all know that do a reverse contingency for the seller. We say this over and over again. You can list your house, just don't close on it until you found the new house that you want. That way more people get things out there, delay the closing a little bit, just so you can get more looks at a home. But, that disrupts life in, having your house out there and not knowing if you have a new house. You got people walking through it and disrupting your family and your day. But hey, let's get this market rolling. We've got the solution to everything.
Yeah, I think parlaying on.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I mean, who you surround yourself with, whether professionally, personally, I mean, that's everything, right? You are who you're going to be a reflection of who you're surrounding yourself with, whether, like I said, in personal or professional. So when you're buying one of the biggest things in your life, which is a home, you want to make sure that you're surrounded with top-notch people, not just some willy-nilly, let's just try this, try that, right? And you should be able to sense that. I mean, I understand that there's a lot of buyers out there that really have no idea, right? So they might think they have a top-notch person, but they just generally have no idea. So they're just, walking to it blindly, and that's where you get what Noel was saying, these buyer remorses, where they're just throwing numbers out there because they feel panicked and like, let's just go in 15,000 over, even though they have like these knots in their stomachs about it, just to try to get an offer accepted. And, and that's where you have like, okay, my offer's accepted. And now they're looking for ways out, and I've actually stepped in at the 11th hour where I was a witness to that. And I was like, listen, I'm like, we got to back this up and we got to figure out what you guys are trying to do here. So, when you're dealing with that, it can be overwhelming. I mean, so that's why we're here to be advocates. We want you guys to call in, anyone that's listening that's been in these situations where maybe you've lost or maybe you put in a little bit more than you thought. We want to hear what those experiences are because, we're here as a sounding board to help the listeners and help our clients. Even if you're not our client, we're here to help. And, we want to make sure that everyone feels that they're in a good position because there is a lot of FOMO out there. They feel like they're going to miss out. Everyone wants to buy a camper. Everyone's standing in line. They don't even know what they're standing in line for. There's a really long line. I want to stand in it, right? Because they're giving something away free. I was in Detroit yesterday. You would thought they were giving something away free yesterday too, because everyone had FOMO of being at the Lions game. They wanted to be the first people at the Lions game. I mean, it was bananas down there. Totally crazy.
Hey, Beck, I got a question for you. How many times have you had to run numbers on these appraisal guarantees, letting people know what their worst case scenario could be? I mean, if you don't have a lender that's doing that for you, you're missing out because, you got to know if Noel's going to put an offer together for a client and it's a $15,000 above appraisal guarantee, and it comes in shy, you got to let people know what the numbers look like. And how many times, I know I do it 4 or 5 times a day for clients. How many times are you seeing that where, the good agents are out there saying, hey, yeah, we can put this offer together, but I need you to understand it. So talk to your lender.
Quite a bit. I mean, honestly, like when, so what John's trying to say is like, let's just say you're buying $100,000 house, right? And you're going to say, I'm going to guarantee $15,000 above the purchase price if the house doesn't come in. So let's just say if it comes in at 95, you're still going to guarantee that 100,000. If it comes in at 85, you're still going to guarantee that 100,000, right? Well, that's in addition to your down payment, right? Because as a lender, we're only going to lend based off what the appraised value is. So that 15,000 could turn into 20,000. It could turn into 25,000, depending on how low this appraisal comes in. And it's quite often that even for one client, I will do it 3 or 4 times just to make sure that everyone is on the same page, because they need to understand that 15,000 can double really quick. I had a gentleman put an offer in for 95,000. This house came in way under at 55. I don't know, it was like half. Right. Granted, it was in Detroit. It was a little bit of I was a pocket, it was in a pocket area, not so much. It's more of an up and coming. But I mean, if he would have put an appraisal guarantee on that property, I mean, he would have been in big trouble. So yes, you need to make sure that you're understanding when you're just throwing numbers at the sky, that it's not just that 15,000 you wrote on that piece of paper. Can be double, half that. I mean, whatever. I mean, but you need to understand that you're on the hook for that because you signed a contract.
I think it's well worth your time to take your time, be patient. And I think it's our jobs, not only as a lender, but as realtors, to walk people through a situation and to make sure that they understand. You got to look at it from all angles and explain things. I mean, some of the things that I explain to buyers, say they just sold their house. Say they just looked at a home and gosh, there's like 8 people that have an interest in the house. I tell people this. I can guarantee you it's probably going to sell for over list price because wherever this property is, it's really nice. You're probably going to have maybe 1, possibly 2 cash offers. And you also are going to have 2 to 3 to 4 people that have already been through this carousel once or twice and lost houses. So they might be a little bit more motivated than you. They might have a little bit more that they're willing to lose than you. So you got to be educated. You got to understand, is this something that I really, really, really want? Because if it is, this is probably what you're going to have to pay. Then working with me and then working with Capital Mortgage Funding, and Becky and John, educating them about, okay, this is what the numbers look like, and make sure that you're comfortable. And I think that's the most important thing. If you're educated about what you're doing and you're comfortable, then you're able to make a very good decision.
No, I mean, the rates right now are in 2000, like I referred to 2018. In 2018, rates were 4.875, right? Right now, they are less than that and some. So even if they went to a full percent higher than what we've been experiencing right now, they're still going to be lower than they were even just 3, 4 years ago. I mean, so right now is the time. We can't preach it enough. I mean, it is allowing buyers to buy more home, right? You can put less money down. There's no need for you to put 20% down when you can secure a rate in the high twos, low threes on a 30-year fixed. I mean, let that money work for you and, put that money somewhere else. I mean, or use that money to make renovations to the house, right? Or if you're doing a refinance, you can still get these low rates to turn around and modify the home, which I think is also a cultivator of why there is lack of inventory. I feel like people have decided to stay and make their house what they want, so therefore they someone that might have been looking to sell just said, you know what, I don't want to deal with it, I'm just going to make my little house my perfect little mansion, and we're going to stay. And I do think that is a little bit of why we're seeing this lack of inventory on the market right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Becky. People are improving their houses. People are putting in pools. They're building those garages. They're building those extra rooms so they can stay at home. And the quality of life that they're exhibiting in their existing house is getting better. And how are they doing it? They're pulling cash out of their existing house because the equity position has gone up substantially in the last 2-3 years. They're using that money and they're bettering their current property. And we're seeing that all the time. And Harvey, your favorite thing is a lot of people are building in pools. You can't even get a pool contractor to come over your house right now because they're so busy.
Right.
Hmm. You know what it is, and the whole market right now, it's a very unique situation, because to parlay a little bit on what Becky and John were talking about. Okay, so and you too, Harvey, in regards to, okay, let's say the interest rates go up a percent, right? The key to
Rates
this
are
whole thing,
rates.
I think, is sellers. You got to get more sellers in the market. Number one, you're going to get some of those people that are on the fence that just are tired of paying or don't want to pay 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000, whatever, over list price. You're going to get those people. You're going to get people that decided to rent because they see that the market is going absolutely crazy. Once you get more sellers in the market, water will find its level, and it'll equal out a little bit. And also that change in the interest rate, if you think about it, if you're going to pay an extra point, and if the prices come down a bit or at least level off a little bit, you're really not in a bad place versus buying something for $40,000-$50,000 under, and you got 1% lower in your interest rate. I mean, if you do the math, that's still the more expensive route to go. So interest rates are going to fluctuate, as you guys know. I think the key is getting more inventory in really all markets. I mean, the upper market over 650, over 8, it's always more saturated. It takes longer to sell because there's fewer people that are able to obviously afford the higher price range than, say, under 6. Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, it's key to don't just go with one quote, call around a few people, because if it's kind of like getting a furnace, okay, you can call three different furnace companies, and depending about how hungry they are, one could be 3,000, 3,500. You could get it for 1,800. I mean, I'm not an expert in that particular area, but it always behooves you to make a few phone calls. And no, you're right. A seller doesn't necessarily know, or excuse me, a buyer doesn't necessarily know, the quality of the roof. What a seller would typically do, and what we do is, there's seller's disclosure statements where you put the age, if known, of the roof and any known problems. And also that can be put into the remarks section. So having a new roof is a very big bonus, because it gives security to a buyer. Now, what you also got to remember, going with the gold roof, quote unquote, instead of a bronze, if you're going to be there for a long period of time, then it may be well worth your while to do that. But if you're not going to be there, I mean, the average American moves every 5 to 7 years, something like that. That you may not get it out of it. And there's nothing wrong with a 30-year roof instead of a 50-year roof, and if you're going to be there for 50 years. So
Wait. Well, here, Mike, I got to jump in on that, Mike. I got to jump in because in your area, are there other homes that have that same type of roofing? Because if not, then you're just throwing money away. You're never going to get the value of that roof out. So yeah, you may hold on to the integrity of the home, and that's great for your personal wants and needs, but you'll never get the value out of it when you go to sell it. Now, in an area where there are slate roofs or the tile roofs, where those are more common, which I'm sure Dearborn is not, then you'll get the quality, because then you have a lesser valued home because of all the other comps in the area also have the same amenities. But if you're the only home in your neighborhood that's going to have this fancy roof, then you're never going to get the value out of it. So that's the
Mike,
question.
what's your gut telling you
about?
Nope. No, you know what, my friend, they're not going to think it's worth $25,000 more.
There's
What they're
your
going to
answer.
see, I talk to people about this all the time, even before I walk into a home. It's presentation. You can tell a lot about a house, I think, by the way it's presented, by the way it's maintained. Okay. And a buyer drives by your house and sees that it's a brand new roof. He's not going to or she is not going to critique it because you didn't spend $75,000 on it. And to be honest with you, I'm no roofer. I couldn't tell you if it was 30 or 50. Just looking at a roof, most people probably can't. So, obviously you want to put on something that is going to be, but like John says, you're going to want to put on something that needs to be done. But as John says, you don't want to over improve unless you're going to be there, because or whatever you're going to improve, don't think you're going to get all of that out of it just because you wanted to do that.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do that. What I'm hearing is he doesn't really care about the price. He takes pride in this home, and he's okay with taking that higher dollar amount. And he's hoping that putting that higher price point roof in is going to just draw a buyer that's going to be like, wow, I really want to take care of this house, because what I'm hearing is this home means a lot to him. He's put a lot into it, and he's going to see that right to the end, because I hear that he takes a lot of pride in that. And I think you put on whatever roof you want. And if you think that's going to draw that buyer when you eventually sell, that's going to, want to take the reins and, make it just as much and be just as proud as yours. I want you to do that. We want you to do that. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we're here.
We're here, buddy.
You do, and it's talking about just all the factors that are involved now in the last 18 months. And another thing we really haven't talked about is the cost of lumber. Harry had mentioned something about, some people doing additions and things like that. A lot of people have come to me and talked to me about that too. And they're kind of weighing, and now it's costing them 2-3 times the amount of what it would normally cost to do, say, I don't know, a 5,000, or excuse me, not a 5,000, but 500 square foot addition or 1,000 square foot addition. It's a lot more expensive now. So they're looking at, buying and getting a bigger home. They're living in their homes differently now. People are living in their homes differently than they are, or they were 18 months ago. I don't know what the percentage is. But how many people have gone back to work? How many people are staying home? How many people are required to go back to work? How many people have the option? So it's really opened up a lot of, options for people. I think the key to real estate staying strong is getting more sellers in the market, and really starting to pull more and more people that have rented, that have been sitting on the sidelines and just not wanting to participate in, multiple offer situations for multiple homes. And I can understand that. I think everybody can. So we'll see what happens. Everything looks great. I mean, the market is very, very strong, very, very stable. We just need some more inventory is all.
Well, I mean, one way or another, you're going to overpay, right? I mean, like we just talked about, lumber prices are up, contractors' prices are up. Getting somebody out to do anything is a chore. So one way or another, you're going to overpay. So it really comes down to: are you good with your location? Are you good with your neighbors? Are you good with the school district your children are in? And making sure that you're making the right decision. I mean, the easier play would be to go out and find a new home. But if you can't find everything else that comes along with a new home, the neighborhood, the school district, the safe streets that you may live on, then stay where you're at and add on. One way or another, you're gonna overpay. That's just what's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, we had a call last week about a land contract specifically, and you could actually have a whole show on land contracts because there are a lot of moving parts. One thing for sure, if you're trying to, let's just say you entered in a land contract 24 months ago, and if we can document the last 12 months of payments that have been made, you can use the current market value, refinance that. You don't have to repurchase it because technically you already own it. So you would just do a refinance. We would take you out of that land contract, get rid of that high interest rate because you're probably, paying some kind of absorbent amount, right? And get yourself out of it. But the key is you have to be organized and you have to document everything, right? You can't go into the shadows and be like, oh, well, I pay cash. No, it has to be documented. So if you are making cash payments on a land contract and you have hopes and dreams of getting out of that land contract, stop it, start making a paper trail, write checks, do direct transfers if you need to. If you can't write checks, whatever, but you definitely have to document it so you can actually now take ownership of that house much faster and take advantage of these lower interest rates, because you're probably paying a 5% interest rate or more, I would assume, if you're on a land contract.
Well, I think it's about flexibility, Harvey. I think it's about being in the business a long time, and I think it's about speed to respond. We have the ability to speed to respond, or we can go ahead and email, pick up the phone, walk into somebody's office now that people are coming back, and get things done right away. I think that's a huge advantage, and it helps our clients out. You've got to be able to react and respond. But again, I caution everybody, we still need all the documentation to do those things. Because we're a little faster and we're a little bit bigger doesn't mean that we can just do things that other people can't. We have to have the right ingredients. We'll do it faster, we'll do it quicker, and we'll do it direct. We don't have to ask too many people for permission to do what we do, but we have to stay within the guidelines and we have to do what's right. So yes, we can do other things, and there are these small flexibilities that maybe other people can't do.
So what Harry's saying is that we do not have to call the manager of blue highlighter pens for permission. we have a direct line where we can do it. We don't have to get past to the manager of Post-its either.
Well, I was trying to be nice, Becky, but thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think it's important, just mentioning again a little bit about what Becky was talking about, and John and Harry and you, Harvey. It's so important, I think, to make the phone calls, to talk to your mortgage representative, to give you guys a call at Capital Mortgage. No, people I think are sometimes embarrassed by, calling and picking up and finding out information, but it can help you. And that's what I'm out there to do. That's what you guys are out here to do. Is to help you with your decisions in regard to what is best for you. And to be honest with you, maybe selling is not, in the cards for you right now. The gentleman that called about the roof, maybe putting on a roof and him staying, is an option for him because that's what he wants. Really, everybody's situation is different, and you've got to take that into account. But if you are working with people that you can trust that are going to help you make the right decision for your situation, then you're going down the right road and talking with every facet of the transaction in regard to your mortgage lender before you move, thinking about it. Here, this is our situation. This is what we'd like. How does that work out? And if you prepare all that stuff ahead of time, making a decision on what it is that you want to do will be much easier.
Okay.
Yo, we're back. Hi, everybody. There's the
Hey.
dog.
There's the
There he
monster.
is.